The NSX has been designed for high performance in every way. The engine, chassis, and transmission represent some of the most advanced high-performance technology on the road today.
In this program, you'll learn about the new components of the NSX manual transmission, the forced lubrication system, the double cone synchronizer for second gear, the reverse synchronizer mechanism, the new limited slip differential, and the twin disc clutch. On the automatic transmission, you'll learn about the 7 shifter positions and their operating characteristics, and the 3-shaft layout with an added low hold clutch. We'll also cover new features like the new heavy-duty clutches, electronic throttle pressure control, shift shock reduction, and the locations and functions of 3 new transmission valves. You'll be introduced to a new style AT cooler and the new aluminum valves, as well as information on SCS trouble code checks and the AT control unit.
For further details and complete repair sequences, be sure to consult your shop manual.
The NSX manual transmission is similar to existing Acura 5-speed manual transmissions, except for heavy-duty components which have been added to handle the high torque of the NSX engine, and some important new features which affect both the operation and maintenance of the transmission. The new NSX 5-speed comes with a trochoid pump to pressure feed the transmission shafts. This oil pump, which is new technology for a manual transmission, helps handle the increased lubrication needs of the limited slip differential and transmission shafts, while the forced lubrication system allows the oil level in the transmission to remain below the level of the gears to save power. Second gear in a high-torque car like the NSX tends to take the heat on power shifts. And that's where the second major new feature of the NSX manual transmission comes into play. A double cone synchronizer for second gear, which helps ensure proper engagement of second gear under high torque situations like power shifts. The cone component of the synchronizer mechanism has been changed from a single surface contact type to a double surface contact type to improve durability and shift operation. The major parts of the new synchronizer mechanism include the synchronizer cone, inner blocking ring, outer blocking ring, synchronizer sleeve, and synchronizer hub. The third major change in the manual transmission is a reverse synchronizer mechanism, which allows the use of reverse helical idler gears. The helical gears reduce gear whine in reverse, while the synchronizer mechanism prevents grinding when reverse is engaged after the car has been in neutral with the clutch engaged. These are the various components of the new mechanism: the reverse idler gear for the main shaft, the synchronizer sleeve, the blocking ring, the synchronizer cone, reverse idle gear for the countershaft, and the reverse idler shaft. And here's how it all works. As the synchronizer sleeve is shifted to engage the reverse idler gear, it slides the blocking ring over the synchronizer cone, stopping the inertial rotation of the main shaft, and allowing reverse to engage without grinding. The mechanism accomplishes exactly the same thing as putting the car in a forward gear before engaging reverse to stop the main shaft from rotating. The new reverse synchronizer mechanism now performs this function automatically. The NSX transmission also features a new limited slip differential. Unlike some systems whose primary purpose is to improve traction on uneven surfaces, the limited slip differential on the NSX is specifically designed to improve directional stability at high speeds. The system is made up of an all-new planetary gear type differential for compactness and a multi-plate friction disc type limited slip mechanism.
Here's a couple of service tips for working on the new limited slip differential. First, when troubleshooting any limited slip differential problem, follow the procedure in the service manual for checking the break-loose torque of the friction plates. There is also a good selective shim adjustment procedure for adjusting the break-loose torque spelled out in the service manual. Be sure to see your service manual for details of both procedures.
The fifth new component of the NSX transmission is the twin disc clutch. The new clutch allows high friction to transmit high torque loads at high RPM, yet maintain a small enough diameter for compactness and easier acceleration and deceleration. The twin disc clutch has a number of new features, including an aluminum clutch cover and a ventilated second pressure disc. The unit also utilizes a pull-type release mechanism. A fork pulls the release bearing instead of pushing it as in other release mechanisms. Before removing the transmission from the engine, the clutch release fork must be removed. The release fork is designed with a spring that holds it in place when the fork is pulled. Other components include the first pressure plate, first clutch disc, the clutch guides, the mid plate or second pressure plate, the second clutch disc, and the flywheel.
There are a number of assembly steps that distinguish this clutch from previous types. First, the flywheel, the first pressure plate, the second pressure plate are all balanced and must be replaced as a unit. Second, it's important to remember that although the friction discs look similar, they are not interchangeable. The wave washer friction disc always goes on the spring side, not on the engine side. The third assembly step has to do with the clutch guides, the guides that provide for the self-adjustment of the clearance between the flywheel and the second pressure plate.
Located between the flywheel and the middle pressure disc, the spring-loaded clutch guide mechanism automatically takes up the clearance as the friction disc wears down. When new clutch guides are installed, they must be initialized to establish their initial clearance. To initialize, first assemble the clutch guide. Then insert a screw to hold the clutch guide in its fully compressed position for installation. Now insert the clutch guide assembly into the mid-pressure plate. Install the sleeve over the clutch guide. Using a wrench to compress the spring and hold the nut, remove the screw. Next, assemble the clutch assembly. The second clutch disc, the mid plate or second pressure plate, the first clutch disc, the one with the wave washer, the release bearing, and the clutch cover.
Note that the guide pins are asymmetrical and the clutch can only be assembled one way.
Next, screw a bolt through one of the threaded holes in the back of the flywheel until the bolt makes contact with the clutch guide. After the bolt has made contact, turn the bolt 1/2 turn to establish initial clearance. This bolt will hit the clutch guide at the appropriate place and push it to establish a clearance between the second clutch disc and the second pressure plate.
Once this procedure has been completed for all 3 of the clutch guides, initial clearance is established, and the clutch guides will maintain that clearance through their spring-loaded adjusters.
For purposes of demonstration, this procedure was performed on the bench. Normally, it would be done with the flywheel and clutch assembly installed on the engine.
Now that we've covered the new features and components of the manual, let's turn to the NSX Automatic.
Like the manual transmission, the automatic transmission on the NSX has retained some technology from other Acuras, while adding new features specifically developed for the NSX. The 3-shaft electronically controlled 4-speed automatic on the NSX is mechanically similar in design to the 1990 Integra automatic transmission. There are 7 shifter positions on the new transmission, each with its own set of driving characteristics. Neutral, reverse, and park are identical in operation to recent Acura automatics and include the reverse-to-drive shift inhibitor system, a system which eliminates the clunking noise which could occur when going from reverse through neutral to drive. Since the NSX is a high-performance sports car, there is no transmission selector position for sports mode. The D position in the NSX is similar to the S4 mode in other Acura transmissions. The remaining positions 1, 2, and 3 allow the driver to shift the car as if it were a manual transmission without a clutch. The 3 position engages third gear and keeps it there, with the following exceptions. If the driver shifts from D to 3 while going over 112.5 miles per hour, to protect the engine, the transmission will stay in 4th gear until speed drops below 112.5. Then downshift into 3rd gear and hold in 3rd. The other condition in which the transmission will override the driver's shift selection to position number 3 is if the driver starts from a stop in the 3 position and fully depresses the accelerator. In this situation, to prevent overloading the engine, the transmission will downshift to 2nd gear for acceleration, then upshift to 3rd gear and hold 3rd. The operating characteristics of shift position number 2 are similar. Once selected, the transmission will remain in position number 2. The exception is when the driver shifts from D or 3 into 2 while going over 62.5 miles per hour. In this circumstance, to protect the engine from over-revving, the transmission will downshift to or remain in 3rd gear until speed drops below 62.5 miles per hour. Then downshift to 2nd gear and hold 2nd. Position number 1 is similar to positions 3 and 2, in that once engaged, it will hold 1st gear unless the car is going too fast for a safe downshift. If the driver selects position number 1 while going over 31.25 miles per hour, the transmission will downshift to or stay in 2nd gear until speed drops below 31.25. Then downshift to 1st with low hold clutch engaged and hold in 1st gear. However, on the NSX, 1st gear in the number 1 position is different from 1st gear in the D or drive position, in that the number 1 position is a low hold setting. In the D or drive position, 1st gear will drive the rear wheels on acceleration, but on deceleration it allows the rear wheels to freewheel. No engine braking. On the other hand, in the number 1 position, the low hold clutch will override the one-way clutch, so that 1st gear remains engaged on acceleration or deceleration. giving the option of engine braking in circumstances such as descending twisty mountain roads. The three-shaft layout on the NSX automatic is virtually identical to the 1990 Integra AT, except for the addition of the low-hold clutch on the end of the countershaft. But there are a number of important new features and components that should be noted. The NSX automatic utilizes heavy-duty clutches with 5 plates to handle increased torque loads. The exception is the low-hold clutch, which is thinner than the other clutches. A major new feature is electronic throttle pressure control. In this system, shift control is matched to engine torque through a linear solenoid valve, which the automatic transmission control unit uses to regulate throttle pressure.
Located on the transmission cover, the linear solenoid valve eliminates the need for throttle cable adjustment. And here's a service reminder. If the transmission cover, the throttle valve body, or the linear solenoid valve are replaced, there is a special procedure for selecting the proper shim. See the service manual for the complete procedure.
There are 2 shift shock reduction systems on the NSX automatic transmission. The first system is similar to the one in the 1990 Integra and Legend, where throttle pressure is routed to the 3rd and 4th accumulators through shift valves to modify clutch engagement characteristics on kickdown. The second shift shock system is new for Acura. In this system, 2 sensors in the transmission cover monitor how fast each shaft is turning, looking for rapid changes in relative speeds between the main shaft and countershaft that would indicate that a high load shift is taking place. When this condition occurs, the AT control unit signals the PGM-FI ECU, which adjusts ignition timing to the optimum to limit shift shock. There are 3 important new valves in the NSX transmission: the second exit valve, the one-way relief valve, and the limited slip differential relief valve. The second exit valve is located on the secondary valve body. The one-way relief valve is located on the main valve body, and the limited slip differential relief valve is located on the second accumulator valve body. Since the NSX engine is mounted midships, with the radiator at the front of the vehicle, the ATF cooler is installed directly on top of the transmission housing. This easy-to-replace unit improves efficiency by lowering oil flow resistance and contributing to overall weight reduction of the car.
Another major change on the NSX automatic transmission is the use of aluminum valves. The manual valve is the only valve on the transmission that is not made of aluminum.
A sophisticated AT control unit monitors and controls all the electronic functions of the NSX automatic. The AT control unit is located behind the driver's seat. Like all the NSX control units, the AT control unit is designed to display its trouble codes on the dash. The AT codes are activated by the service check connector in the same manner that all the NSX control units are activated, by attaching a bridge to the SCS connector in the upper part of the passenger side footwell. The D light on the dash will display any trouble codes that have been activated.
The same fuse that is used to clear the PGM-FI ECU is used to clear the memory of the AT control unit. Simply remove the fuse for 3 seconds and then replace it. The AT control unit memory will be cleared and the trouble codes will stop flashing.
This video has been designed to introduce you to some of the basic features, components, and operating characteristics of the NSX automatic and manual transmissions.
You've had a good look at the new heavy-duty 5-speed manual transmission. You've learned about the forced lubrication system. double cone synchronizer for second gear, the reverse synchronizer mechanism, the new limited slip differential, and the twin disc clutch. We also took a close look at the new 3-shaft automatic transmission. The 7 shifter positions along with their operating characteristics, and the new low hold clutch. On the automatic, we also covered features like the new heavy-duty clutches, electronic throttle pressure control, shift shock reduction, and functions of the 3 new transmission valves. In addition, we took a look at the new AT cooler, the new aluminum valves, along with SCS trouble code checks, and the AT control unit.
The transmissions on the new NSX are 2 of the most sophisticated transmissions on the road today. And this video is one more way that we at Acura are trying to give you everything you need to meet the standard of excellence that customers have come to expect from Acura technicians.
For more details on the procedures in this video, be sure to consult your shop manual.